sponsored by DRN, industry-leading LPR marketing database solution.
Welcome to this free wash episode of Shine Time. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is Noel Peña from Digital Recognition Network. Welcome, Noel.
Thanks for having me.
Today we're going to talk about the free wash.
Very popular.
Yeah, and for those in the audience who don't know what the free wash is, it's when you offer a free wash. First question, do free washes actually work?
Well, yes and no.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. People take advantage of free washes. I mean, I'm not certain anyone in society today doesn't take something for free. The counter to that is, what is the intent behind the free wash, right? If I'm a car wash owner, operator, my goal is not to give up profit, right? Giving washes away for free with no conversion is losing money. Mm-hmm. So if the intent is to lose money, which I gather that's not the case, the answer would be no. Now, it's a very common practice. Everyone does it. It's super competitive. But I think at the end of the day is, do they work? Well, they do work if they're capitalized on correctly, right? Mm-hmm. So what's the intent behind the marketing? What's the intent behind the free wash? What are we doing when we get that person into the wash?
Before we move on, let's talk about how to do that.
Sure.
So we put a bunch of free washes out. It works. It brings people in. How do we convert them into customers that come back, every 5 weeks as a transactional customer or into a subscription customer? How do we make that transition?
I think first and foremost, getting them in with proper service and,
yep.
and service and quality people. I think the experience is key. I think it doesn't matter what you do in marketing or in a business. If your customer service and the actual product or service deliverable is not in par, nothing else matters to that point, right? But so let's just say we get them in, we do a great job, we have a great staff, smiles, they're giving people information, they're sharing all the options that they have available after that free wash. The point now is to continue communication with that consumer, but the only way to communicate with them is to understand who that consumer is. And so by taking the information that we talked about, demographic information, and understanding who that consumer is and how that resonates with them, we want to make sure that after they get the free wash, that we're communicating clearly with them the value prop of doing business with us as a wash, why they came in initially for the free wash other than just a free wash, and then getting them along the buyer's journey, right? So they're in, they got the wash, they're aware of our brand. We need to get them through the stages of the buyer's journey, and that's nurturing them through communication.
Interesting. I'm glad you said that because, I was thinking is there's a lot of great washes out there that have one or two other great washes that are nearby. And so if I go get a free wash at your wash and, a week later I get a free wash from the one up the street and I have a great experience at both, that by staying in contact with that customer and nurturing that relationship, what you're saying is you're able to differentiate yourself from another great wash that may be in your market.
Absolutely. The core component is communication and marketing with the right messages and building that rapport with that consumer. Because to your point, there is a lot of free washes and there are washes everywhere now, like systematically growing the market. So having that communication, having that engagement and getting that feedback really helps build that relationship over time.
Awesome. Well, next question about the free wash.
Sure.
I mean, if the car wash is next door or a mile away and they send me a free wash, I'm probably going to use it. If the car wash is 2 states away, there's no way in the world I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
Now, where's the line at? Like, how far will people travel for a free wash? Is it 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles? Like, is there a kind of a defined amount of distance that somebody will go?
It really comes down to convenience. It really comes down to, is that wash, and let's just say the wash is valued at $30. Mm-hmm. What is that worth to someone's time? Will they go out of their way for a $30 value of a car wash, right? Or whatever the dollar amount may be. It really comes down to convenience. Does it make sense for them to travel 5 miles, or does it make sense not to? And it really comes down to that individual, what they're looking to get out of it, or are they just taking advantage of free washes? So I always like to tie it back to convenience.
And I mean, I imagine, some like that probably varies customer to customer. I mean, like there are, like, I don't know that necessarily that I would drive past 5 grocery stores to get to a grocery store, but I often might go to a grocery store that's 5 grocery stores away if I'm already in that area. Like for instance, when I go play pickleball, it's a decent drive from my house, but there are businesses that I stop at because I'm in the area. Is there a way for car washes, like how can they capture those people?
Sure. I mean, the real intent is trying to create an atmosphere for the car wash that's similar to a grocery store or similar to a convenience store. We want to look at the data and analyze what are people's traffic habits? What are they typically going? So to your point earlier, the wash may be 1 mile from that consumer, but that consumer or customer doesn't necessarily pass by frequently enough to make sense, even for a free wash. It's out of their way, right? Whereas that same customer has the ability to pass by a car wash that's 5 miles away because it's on their way to some sort of thing, right? Whether it's, to your point, the pickleball or work or whatever it is, it's more relevant to that customer. And so therefore, even though it's further from their home, it's more viable for convenience.
Now you've talked about Amazon Prime and how car washes need to be like that, and it sounds like we're kind of walking down that path right now. Can you elaborate on that a little bit more? How everybody's a Prime member. Everybody I know is a Prime member. I mean, and we all love it. Alexa, play this while you're working out. You order something, it shows up tomorrow. I mean, it is the pinnacle of convenience. What are some tactics a car wash can do to kind of mimic that and achieve that type of convenience for their customers?
Yeah, it's really understanding the audience, right? It comes down to looking at a group of customers or prospects or consumers that are passing by the wash and really connecting with them. Because it comes down to, can I make this thing as simple and convenient to them as possible? You talked about Amazon Prime. Everyone loves Prime because they're going to get their package immediately. It's that satisfaction of achieving that thing, getting that thing, right? Same thing for a car wash. As a consumer, I want to know that I can get that wash done easily and to the point of conversion to subscriptions, because it's the long game, right? Car washes aren't playing the short game. They're not looking for transactional buyers that may hit and miss and you can't forecast your business. They're looking for the long game of subscriptions. So if I can entice people to consistently flow into my wash, use a subscription, take advantage of it, see the value as Prime users do, they'll continue to sign up and continue to subscribe.
Each car wash kind of has a unique value proposition, and I guess you could call that a deliverable. And I mean, in most industries, have some variance, but car washes have a tremendous variance. I mean, anything from pulling up, in bay automatic, all the way through getting out of your car and it's running through a tunnel. I mean, there are a lot of versions of a car wash.
Sure.
And so, how can a car wash really, I guess, express and explain what their value proposition is and what the deliverable they're going to provide to the customer is? Like, how do they express that to their I guess the audience of people that could become customers?
Sure. So by dissecting the audience down to the type of profile that they have, right? So certain consumers are going to be attracted to certain sort of offers. So breaking, let's just say we have 5 different demographics of consumer that we're trying to target. Each one has something that's important to it. It's an emotional buy. Like, it has to be something that the consumer, connects with. So if I'm interested in a certain, element that meets the demographic of that buyer, that's the thing I'm going to push out, right? I don't want to send out, we have 12 different washes and we go through all the bells and whistles. It's not applicable to everyone.
Yeah.
I want to focus in on, do I know there are certain groups that like certain factors about the wash? And then I'm going to hyper focus on the messaging to those people.
Interesting. So each, I guess, think of them as buckets maybe. Like, so, each customer is going to, you've got a subset of your customers that fit in this bucket, and a subset of your customers that fit in this bucket, and a subset of your customers that fit in this bucket. We're going to market to each of them differently with different messages in order to try to resonate with them, and maybe even market to them different packages that more fit their lifestyle. I mean, am I getting that right?
Absolutely. It needs to be conducive to their needs and to the type of buyer that they are. Once you match those up, the conversions are at a much higher rate.
Well, let's shift gears to audience. Can you tell me the difference between an assumptive audience and a convertible audience and how a car wash owner needs to address them differently?
Sure. So an assumptive audience, as you'd imagine, is a group of people you would assume would do business with you. And very much zip code marketing tends to do that, right? So we believe as a marketer or car wash owner or operator that someone that lives in my zip code should assumptively come in. And that's really a bad approach because, as you know, a zip code is quite large.
Yep.
And audiences in that zip code are quite different. And so having the assumption that one generalized generic message reaches that audience is kind of comical, but very sad in the same truth, because it's money being wasted on marketing, essentially. And a convertible audience, or convertible, is essentially an audience that's been hyper-focused at, right? You're looking at specific data attributes to target and communicate with. So instead of assuming this large group of people that are quite different, that they're going to be attracted to the same one unified message, we're looking at multiple groups with specific messages to those groups. That way we can get them converted to actual customers.
Gotcha. So the assumptive group is kind of like when in the old days, you'd buy a full page ad in the newspaper. You had one message that went to everybody, and it didn't resonate with anybody. And then you have, the convertible audience is more like what we all see when we look at Facebook or Instagram. Like for me, it's all fishing stuff, because they know that's what I'm interested in. So the message is tailored to me as an individual, as opposed to a full page ad in the newspaper that's really not tailored to anybody. Exactly.
And to the point of social, if you talk about stop the scroll, right? How do you stop somebody from scrolling on social media? It's an ongoing thing. It has to be something that connects with that particular audience. If it's just a generalized, generic message, you're not going to stop very many people from scrolling. It's the same difference.
I think the assumptive thing can be it's kind of summed up. I don't know if you ever saw the movie, The Bad News Bears. Mm-hmm. Bad News Bears, the coach, he wrote assume on the board, and he said, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a very costly mistake to make.
Yep. Well, Noel, is there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today?
I think that's it for today.
Fantastic. Thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this free wash episode of Shine Time. We hope to see you again on a future episode.